Hello, Astro friends. It's the 29th of September 2025, and here's Melanie with the Astro Weather for the week starting tomorrow, the 30th of September, and going until the 6th of October, which will be the first of 3 supermoons. All 3 full moons in the autumn season will be supermoons, 3 of them. So the 6th of October, the 5th of November, and the 4th of December, easy to remember. And yeah, starts with the Aries Libra full moon right in the center of Aries and Libra, and then the Taurus Scorpio one will be also in the center of the fixed signs, Taurus Scorpio, and the mutable Gemini and Sagittarius will be also in the center of those signs, while the new moons are these days at the very end of a sign. We just had the one just the day before the fall equinox, the partial solar eclipse in end of Virgo, solar release eclipse. So we're now in this waxing moon phase between that very special new moon to the first full moon of the autumn season. And I must say, I just came away from a really joyful, very alive and vibrant FaceTime call with a long time Aries friend, and long time you gotta have Capricorn in your chart as an Aries. Well, there are really long-term Aries people, but Aries tends to be very spontaneous and alive and present in the moment and liking the new. So this was a fantastic call, and that gave me instant motivation to do this little video for the coming week leading up to that mid-Aries supermoon harvest moon. What's going on? So we are in the fall season, started on the 22nd of September. We definitely notice it here on the West Coast. Temperatures dropped from about 22 to 16, and now we have a real substantial rain coming in. Leaves are coming down. Autumn is real, and that also goes with today's and tomorrow's Capricorn moon, waxing Capricorn moon, very earthy, very grounded, and very, yeah, real. So it's something to deal with. It's not just an idea. We are in it. And speaking of we're in it, we also have Mercury about to enter Scorpio, which Mars already did on the 22nd of September. Mars entered Scorpio until the 4th of November, and Mercury follows on the 6th of October on the day of the eclipse, and will be there for a while because I'll show you the chart of the full moon where you can see Mars and Mercury. So Mercury will have just entered on that very same day Scorpio, and will be in Scorpio until the 29th of October, then enter Sag, and from Sag go retrograde in early November. I forgot the exact date, but will return to Scorpio once more November 18th to December 11th, when it when it goes back to end of Scorpio, but then on December 11th will leave to go fully into Sag. So in the meantime, there will be the Mercury retro phase, and that is from early to end of November. So we're not quite there yet, but we're on this tipping point energy from Libra to Scorpio. As I said, Mars already entered, Mercury follows. Mercury will actually pass Mars after the full moon. That's towards mid-October. I can't give you the exact date, but the energy goes there. And what stands out at this point, at this build-up to the full moon, to the harvest supermoon, is Scorpio comes into the picture, and Aries becomes big with the full moon, because for Aries we have Neptune still barely in Aries, will go back into Pisces on the 22nd of October, but still holding the space on this emergence or birthing point, the moon right in the center of Aries and Chiron. So Aries and Scorpio taking over, so to say. And the Aries energy is, of course, very direct, dynamic, present, forward, courageous, going for it, right? This is taking action, and it's ruled by Mars, which is now in Scorpio, right? And Mercury is also super strong in Aries, so there's also a indirect connection between Aries and Scorpio in this situation. Scorpio is all about change. It's about really diving into the dark, into the unknown, and into the magical. So yeah, especially on this tipping point. So you might have a few choices at this point to make. No kidding. And how can Mercury, how can I should rather say, what comes up in your mind when it comes to these choices that lead to change? This is the question for Mercury on the tipping point from Libra to Scorpio. And it's about the choices, but it's also about the process, right? So in a process, and it takes self-awareness, and it takes also a being able to look at your own or having support to look at your own blind spots and dark sides that are usually hidden. But it can be also your power that is dormant with Scorpio that Mercury can bring out. In other words, through choices, or also through communication that is goes to places that we might otherwise avoid, or a taboo, we can come back into our power and power to change, rather than being stuck and brooding over things that don't change and you don't have control over. So you only have control, but there's also all these divine and energetic forces that we need to work with when it comes to ourselves, right? But that's the place where it needs to start, which takes us back to Aries. And what's going on in Aries? As I said, Neptune on the cusp, barely in Aries, going retro. The trend is to go back to its own Piscean domain on the 22nd, but we have in the Libra season until the 22nd, we have Neptune still in Aries, which it tried out this year since end of March. So we are now really noticing the transition into the new. I talked to my friend who got an Aquarius moon, actually, this Aries friend. We talked about these big changes in eras, that we're moving into the Aquarius age, an age of our shared, empowered humanity that goes beyond all these old hierarchies that are so anachronistic and outdated, yet holding on with teeth and claws. And it's a revelation, you could say, in neutral or in religious terms. All of it is like coming to the surface now, which is also very apropos Mercury in Scorpio, actually. And yeah, so things are coming out about the strategies, the dynamics of power, and people are not having it anymore, and coming together to really support people versus governments and industries and military industrial complexes and such, right? So wars need to end. We know that. And Saturn in Aries has shown us a lot about this already in the spring-summer visit. Saturn is now back in Pisces and shows us basically, as somebody said, I think I mentioned in the last video, collective karma, but that sounds a little bit heavy. It's also the effects on the collective when we are still in this Piscean mode, right? for better or worse, right? With Saturn is pretty neutral actually. It's just um, a feedback service. It shows us what happens if you have this type of input. And Pisces input would be, it's a spiritual domain, but it's also about oneness, unity, and connectedness. So that really beautiful notion can be also hijacked by all sorts of religious and political forces and individually. So what do I mean by that? Manipulation, mass manipulation, and propaganda and all these things. So not falling for it. If we fall for it, just to be part of this, be not stand out, so to say, not be singled out, which can be an Aries thing, and we rather yield to the collective, that's Pisces, then we see the effects of that. And it can be restrictive actually. It can appear as a protection, it can appear as a security with Saturn, as a boundary, as a wall, as a that guards us, but it can also totally hold us back, and we're subject to the laws of the past, the laws of the collective, right? That's where that Saturn in Pisces theme. Then, as I said, the big dynamic that's going on with this upcoming harvest moon. So what is a harvest moon, by the way, and what is a supermoon? Harvest moon is the full moon closest to the fall equinox. This time it was really tight, right? The previous one on the 7th of September, the total lunar eclipse was slightly further away from the fall equinox on the 22nd than this one. So in a way, both of them are, but this one is precisely closer when it comes to exactitude, closer to the fall equinox. So it's considered the harvest moon. And the harvest moon is called harvest moon because at harvest time for farmers, when they saw when the full moon was up during harvest season, the full moon is because of its position at the close to the equinox, the light of the moon while the sun is setting, right? The moon is rising with the full moon. That's why we get the full moon effect. They could had extra light for harvest, so it was actually very helpful. And also that the harvest moon typically appears already bigger than other full moons in the year. And additionally, this time it's also a supermoon. So one of three supermoons. Supermoons typically come in a row every year. Can be three, can be even four, but this is the start of them. And supermoons are also relatively close to the Earth because the orbit of the moon around the Earth is not exactly circular, it's slightly elliptical, and that's why sometimes the moon appears closer to the Earth, and at other times it appears bigger because it is closer. And when it's a full moon, that's a supermoon. So we're having that, and the first of three, as I said. So this can be, I really hope we see her, a full moon that appears really big, and it's also energetically a big harvest. Just a beautiful time to reflect on the summer season or the whole spring and summer season, planting seeds, seeing them grow, harvest them in so many ways. Of course, literally in the garden and on the field, sorry, but also in life, right? What has come to fruition and what new is arising from this fruition, right? That is the Aries energy. The central Aries has a Leo undertone. And so this is also about our own creativity, our own self-expression. The expression of that is, it's my life, and what do I create? Versus the Libra side, in the center of Libra with the Aquarius undertone, has to do also with partnership, but also friendship and community, humanity. How does what I create benefit our friendship and our community? And also, how do friends, does humanity support me in my creativity? How wonderful, how privileged am I, right? So to really be grateful for that, to be able to create, to be able to have this beautiful and special life. That's very apropos Aries Libra. And then, yeah, so this can also, the full moon, especially when Libra is involved as well, because a full moon is also like a Libra thing. It's a polarity, it's a partnership, it comes up in relationships. Full moons definitely have effects on relationships, and people born with full moons are typically dealing a lot with relationships, having always relationships in their lives, a very, very, standardized statement at this point, but nevertheless. And so the Libra side would be about the togetherness, I would call it, like the Libra Aquarius, right? Togetherness with others doesn't have to be a private, intimate partnership. It's a compatible buddy and somebody whom you can be friends with, whether they're your partner or somebody who's really, as I said, really compatible with you and brings out your best and brings and sees you, right? That's also very much apropos Aries, Leo, right? Being seen, being loved, big heart energy. And yeah, I found that came out between the two of us today really beautifully in this conversation with my Aries friend and her Aquarius moon. And so on. So we have also at this time Jupiter in Cancer this year, since June until next July. Typically more than a year, more than 12 months, a bit less than 13 months. So this is, we're in a earlier phase of it, but Jupiter has already progressed to almost 25 degrees of Cancer, and will go retrograde on November 11th until May 11th next year. No, not May. When is it? March. Sorry, March 11th. So exactly what is that? December, February, December, January, February, March, 4 months. Yeah, exactly. So Jupiter has almost reached its maximum this year, and Jupiter is sort of in a wide square with that full moon axis. I would say it's in effect, especially since Jupiter will go retrograde soon. Actually, retrograde to this point that squares it, interestingly. And what's with that? So the center, the midpoint of an opposition, in other words, a t-square, if it was exact, the apex, the point that is on this, that casts the squares to both, that is typically a catalyst for the expression of this full moon energy, especially also relevant because Cancer, where Jupiter is in, is ruled by the moon. So here we go. And so what is the catalyst? So with Jupiter in Cancer in a global societal humanitarian way, it's about our human family. It's about the bigger family. Yes, it's also about the big family in general. If you have a big family, somebody told me yesterday, her client who's got Cancer rising, that she was visiting with all her cousins and their children and all that, a real big family. So that can literally be the case with Jupiter in Cancer as well. But family comes in so many ways and shapes and forms and beings. Doesn't have to be just human, can be also other lovely beings whom you feel an affinity, a caring, and a connection with. And it can be a place. So it's all about belonging, end of Cancer, and it's a vibe, an energy field where we belong. This is typically the end of Cancer energy with Pisces undertone. So this comes up big time now with Jupiter That doesn't mean it's all good. Maybe it also means we have to expand and extend ourselves and expand our circle to have that sense, or literally travel to places where it feels like home. And this is just a vibe that you love that can also come up. And it's also a beautiful theme here with the Canadian Truth and Reconciliation Day, right? Because which comes up tomorrow on the 30th, every year on the 30th in the last 4 years, I believe. And so because we have here also the theme about the children from a moon in Cancer and moon Chiron theme. Chiron has to do also, Chiron in Aries has to do also with the medicine of the first people and of those who came before us, who were early, right? And about the children. Then the sun in Libra with the Aquarius undertone has also to do with justice, fairness, and equality in society. And yeah, and the Cancer energy also. Canada is a Cancer country. That's triple C. And US is also Cancer country, July 1st and July 4th. Also, France is a Cancer country with July 14th. And so Jupiter activates the sun, not at this point, it activates the sun of France, in fact, but it will, in its retro course, reactivate the sun of Canada and the US. So maybe it also, there are opportunities to outgrow this artificial division and come back to more a celebration of our people together rather than what the governments are doing or not doing. And so that's the Cancer side. The governmental side would be the Capricorn, which is not activated in the full moon energy field. And we have, what else do we have here? As I said, lots of Aries, lots of Scorpio, but also Pisces is happening via Saturn, pulling Neptune back into Pisces on the 22nd of October, and the North Node, of course, which came out big time with the lunar eclipse on the 7th of September. So this year we have the dynamic of Pisces and Virgo in the nodal axis. The nodal axis is accentuated with eclipses and has to do, some people would say, a karmic pathways, I call it, and is also activated. Virgo is also activated in the build up for the harvest moon, because Venus, the ruler of Libra, will be with the south node. So in Virgo, and Venus in Virgo, they, by traditional nature, they don't go well together, because but everything is an opportunity, right, to combine the energies. It's just, what is the outcome when Venus is in Virgo? Venus attracts and magnetizes and loves, and with Virgo there's a lot to do. It's a very busy energy, and there's a lot to organize, a lot to get things. It's like a harvest energy, in fact, with Virgo, right? Virgo is also harvest maiden, and Venus in Virgo is like, wow, I need to get all these things into my harvest basket, and then I can be at peace, peace of mind, and relax, or go into harvest dance, right? So we have maybe a lot going on these days, but we also need to relax, connect, and know why we're doing this, and also surrender, ask for help, give it up, right? So like today is the day of the three archangels: Michael the warrior, Gabriel the messenger, Raphael the healer, and they can help us. All angels can help us. Our guardian angel can be with us. All the celestial energies and beings of light, they're here, but they don't interfere, as they say, except the guardian angel when it's an emergency. But they need to be asked. They need to be asked, and they're happy to help us. So receive help. Don't just be all in your do-it-yourself mode. And there's human angels also out there, right? So, okay. So as Mercury goes into Scorpio, as I said, from October 6th on, the day of the full moon, Mercury will almost immediately square Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, in Aquarius. That will be the day after, October 7th. So this is one of the squares that you might wonder in this chart. And that is a tension, there is pressure, there's definitely not a casual energy. So the Mercury in Scorpio is also about, again, going with our thoughts, with our mind, with our interest, and also with information, writing, communicating into deeper sides of life. And then Pluto in Aquarius also shows us on a practical note, on a, who are your real friends and whom do you really on a deep soul level, Pluto, right, connect with in humanity. And that can be a, ad hoc situation, just a meeting, soul to soul, or it can be a long time friend, right? So at the same time, we're also going deeper into research with Mercury in Scorpio and looking into power dynamics in systems, which is the early Aquarius energy. Having talked about Pluto, Pluto is now stationary soon, well, in October, because Pluto will go out of retrograde where it entered on May the 4th on October 13th and go. So October, Pluto is stationary. It's a turnaround energy. So what has come up over the mid-spring up to now, since May the 4th, regarding power dynamics in systems, a lot has been processed. A lot of the old that showed us where the powers are to be no more, and where change is inevitable. So the change comes with the Pluto going direct again, and the change comes, of course, from the people, comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. We're done with that model. And yeah, so also the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, is part of the picture because there's a trine, a almost the whole time as Uranus is in Gemini this year, since July the 7th until November the 7th. It is also in an air trine with Pluto in Aquarius, and both are on the early part. The early Gemini and the early Aquarius both have a Libra undertone. This is where also a connection comes in with the Sun in Libra, central Libra with an Aquarius undertone. So there's again the theme about Uranus in Gemini, explosive news or freedom of speech, and surprise and liberating but also shocking information, or really a things that blow your mind, right? That's Uranus in Gemini, and surprises that change the whole trajectory. And Pluto in Aquarius is the bigger backdrop. This is where systems are changing, humanity is coming on board in a new way or is rearranging itself. You can also see the systems in the world. Speaking of NATO and the Western world versus the BRICS countries, definitely has to do with this Aquarius momentum of Pluto. And Uranus in Gemini can also have to do with AI, of course, right? So it's a revolution in information and learning, but it can also, of course, with the effects of AI, make people actually be less inclined to learn, because you can always ask AI about anything, but maybe also learn with it, right? So how can you work with the system and not being, worked by the system, right? So I believe I touched on all these factors, except I want to talk a bit about the phase of we're moving from the early Libra on October 2nd, early Libra from September 22nd to October 2nd has a Libra undertone. So this has been a lot about choices and about balance, about fairness and negotiation and diplomacy, right? We've seen a lot of these speeches at the United Nations. And the central Libra from October 2nd to 13th, where the full moon will be, has an Aquarius undertone. So again, yeah, now it's about really fairness and justice and relationship and relatedness and peace in humanity. And what does it have to do with the bigger systems that are out of balance, right? That can need adjustment and need a new beginning. This is the Aries energy. Then what about the moon this week? The moon is now in Capricorn since today, the 29th, which is also interesting. Capricorn / Saturn days, and Saturn has a 29-year cycle on the 29th, which is every year the Archangel Day, and will be in Capricorn tomorrow, Truth and Reconciliation Day, all day, which is also very fitting for the traditions, for the honoring of the elders. And on the 1st of October, which is interestingly Yom Kippur, the Jewish Reconciliation Day, reconciliation with God, atonement. It's the end, as far as I understand, the completion of the first 10 days of the Jewish New Year, which started on the 22nd of Rosh Hashanah on the 22nd of September. So Jewish values, Jewish traditions versus the government and all its actions. So that 3 days in a row representing different traditions, interestingly, hey? And then the moon on the 1st of October enters Aquarius in the evening, in the afternoon, 12:52 p.m., and will be in Aquarius almost immediately or the same afternoon, meeting Pluto, passing Pluto, Pluto stationary in October. So this could be also a deep process around how, in terms of you in the system or your systems or you and your old friends. That's also the early Aquarius, late Capricorn energy, right? Things are moving in that direction and also making systems, setting up a system that is simple and that allows for freedom, which would be the Capricorn Aquarius dynamic. And we could also feel from the moon side and maybe in connection with people whom we are associated with, our friends, our team, our buddies, where this bigger evolution is going. More freedom, bottom line. And so the moon will be in Aquarius from Wednesday afternoon on. I always refer to Pacific Daylight Savings Time. And all day Thursday in Aquarius, Friday until the evening, 7:07 p.m. on the 3rd, the moon enters Pisces. And so Aquarius moon, as I said, fantastic for getting your system together, studying systems like astrology, and being with friends, and so a community. Then the 3rd of October, as I said, the moon enters Pisces, will be in Pisces all day Saturday until Sunday evening. On the 5th, the eve of the harvest full moon, harvest supermoon, the moon will then enter Aries at 9:48 p.m. on Sunday. But these Pisces moon days, Friday afternoon till Sunday evening, will be beautifully prone to Piscean relaxation, and music, flow, connection, ease, and yeah, and allowing things to come together. Also, being okay with what appears like chaos, but it can be a very creative chaos. And that is a very artistic energy, in fact, too, the combination of Pisces and Libra. Libra is about aesthetics, art, decoration, beauty, and Pisces is about imagination, about fusion, about music also, and about atmosphere and energy and blends. So then, as I said, on the 6th we have the full moon. After Mercury enters Scorpio on the same day, the full moon in Aries Libra will be at 8:48 p.m. So the full moon night, the super harvest full moon night from the 6th to the 7th of October, I sure hope we see her rise. That would be perfect, rising almost exactly at fullness and being super big. Fingers crossed. So let's hope. And the full moon is of course also in our hearts and with us, especially if we have Aries energy or Aries Libra energy. And it's a very enlivening full moon. I wish you a beautiful week building up to the super harvest supermoon in Aries Libra, and I see you on the other side, or maybe I see you before in community or in astrology. Ciao.